People, Deluded, I'm back again. Thank you very much for tuning back into my videos. Fridays equals Q&A days. Without more being said, let me get straight into it. As usual, I've tried my best to not miss anyone else out. If I have missed you out, don't feel any way. I've tried, people. I'll go over what I can, but I've tried. But for those of you that haven't missed out, first and foremost, thank you very much for getting in the Q&A questions. Without you lot, I can't do it. And you lot support me, and we've got a long way to go. We need to get 20k. I heard someone talk about merchandise the other day. That drops at 20k, man. We need to get there. But DG Nation, we're going strong. We're ever growing. I know I've got a decent amount of new subscribers, and I'm seeing a lot of positive comments off the back of, what game was it? Was it Sheffield United when I done the AFTV fan cam thing? So yeah, love. And I can't do much for you lot. So if anything, I can give back once a week and at least answer your questions. So big up yourselves, whoever you are, wherever you are in this world. To kick off, Robin has asked, Deluded Gooner, you say you are a big fan of Guendouzi. Can you please explain what you mean by that? For me, he just moves the ball too slow and lets the opposition just run right through him, and he just stand and look. Maybe I miss out on something, so maybe you can turn me over. By the way, thanks, great program as always, and I can't wait for the game against Sheffield United. Obviously, that's when he asked this question. Are you Jamaican? By the way, you've kind of paraphrased this. You might be from JA, so wherever you are, shout out to you. But please answer my question. But listen, my guy, I'm not here to turn you over. I think the funny thing with football fans in general is like, people can't admit players' weak points. Like, just because I think Guendouzi's good doesn't mean I can't acknowledge what he's not doing. For right now, he doesn't deserve a place in the side because his form hasn't been there. Saying that, I feel in the game against Chelsea, it's not been spoken about, and it's probably been lost in the talking points of Mustafi, obviously, with the mistake, Luiz with the red card, Xhaka doing all right at fullback, Martinelli and Saka. But I thought when Guendouzi came on and the minutes he played, he brought the right energy, and that's what you need for Guendouzi. I think Guendouzi, he's shown he's a young player. He's gone through some good form, he's gone through some terrible form. He's still very much inexperienced. That being said, let's not use experience as an excuse. 100% with a lot of things you said, I agree. I personally feel when you're here Martinelli and Saka now, obviously want to protect, you're young and that, but you might be not experienced due age in games played, but you're experienced and you've played enough games to stop and say to yourself, yo, let me go watch my video from that game again against Chelsea defensively. Why was I with my arms out and I weren't back there? Do you get what I'm saying? I think they're old enough, Guendouzi specifically, to see where you're going wrong. I like his fight. I like his courage. I know certain players have turned form around, but I think it speaks volumes that people kind of disregard his age, because he came, and similar to Martinelli to a lesser extent, there weren't much expectations on Guendouzi, but he's exerted himself and become much more of a first team player in some capacity. Martinelli more of an exaggerated example than initial people believed. I think it's testament that he's played well in some, he's played terrible and he's played well in big games, and he's shown more courage. I'm not here to say he can be world class this and that. I just think he can be a decent player for Arsenal Football Club. If he wants to kick on to bigger and better things, he has to do it himself. Mkhitaryan even said that. If you get it, I just think he could be a decent player for us. I think he's got a good pass in his locker. I think he needs to be coached to play that. I think he plays too many sideways passes. The main improvements I need to see is defensively. He needs to become a bit more agile, but his positioning, he's too easy caught on the counter attack. Sometimes I think he gives cheap fouls away, and sometimes I think he's not strong enough in duels. Whether it's hitting the gym, whether it's working with Arteta and the coaching staff, I share a lot of what you have in it. I'm not here to, like I tell you, I don't tell you a lot what to think. I just tell you to think. Don't take my opinion or a next man's opinion and just hold that as your gospel or your opinion for the sake of it. All I can say to Guendouzi, if he watches my vids, which he doesn't obviously, is he can just prove you wrong by his performances. I just think he can be a decent player for Arsenal. I'm not saying he can be world class, this and that. I think if he develops, there's no reason why he can't grab a couple French caps. But that's me in it, my dude. So I can't win you over, I can't turn you over, but that's just what I believe, my guy. I am a big fan of Guendouzi, but I'll still acknowledge when he does dumb shit. It's that simple. And shout out to you, Robin, and love for the support, man. It's a shame, obviously, Sheffield let you down at the time of asking this vid. But Paradme, apologies, you said, yo, DG, big up, thank you. He said, do you think Arteta is forcing the issue to get in new signings, or is he just happy to take no for an answer? I don't think he's as much as a yes man as Emre was, but to a degree he's a head coach. How much things can he affect in the grand scheme of things? He has to have acknowledged that. That being said, we don't know why he didn't get the role last year. Maybe, which I believe the club were going to do it and they bottled it and went for a safer pair of hands in Emre. Or it might have been in another world, to play devil's advocate. Arteta could have, been a bit shaky over the transfer policy. And maybe this year they said, yo, January we might not make something happen. But same way we brought Emre, Pepe and he didn't bang. We got a couple signings for you in the summer. We'll give you a winger if you want. We'll give you a centre mid. We'll give you a centre back, a proper thing. Do you get it? So if they're giving him that and they're saying that to him, it's cool. But Arteta does strike me as someone that will put his foot down. But how much can he put his foot down? And to a degree, he must have been given the full picture in relation to what Arsenal plan to do in the medium, short, and maybe not so much long term right now, but long term. So I'm not really, I wouldn't say forcing the issue, but I do think he'll be a bit more persistent, a bit more aggressive, a bit more demanding of certain things. But that's just me, and that's just what I see as a fan. The perception could be completely wrong. John Doe said, as Napoli are doing equally as bad this season, thank you for your previous question, my dude, as well. As Napoli are doing equally as bad this season in Serie A, do you think it's possible to go back in for Koulibaly? They're not going to qualify for top 4 too. It doesn't really matter what Napoli's doing. I hear what you're saying, that with inconsistencies things can happen. But if you want Koulibaly, for whatever people's opinion, you put the money on the table, you're prepared to pay a bit more. There's no point trying to penny pinch and things. There might be more of an avenue to get him, so it could be worth it, my guy. But considering this January, considering regardless of their form, why would they want to lose one of their main players mid-season? You're still going to have to pay a mad fee. And if we're haggling over loan signings, are they going to splash that money in January on a centre-half? I don't know, my dude. But you've also asked me, could Ainsley Maitland-Niles and Joe Willock be a potential powerhouse midfield pairing in the future for us? Well, if they both develop, who knows? But I would like to see them both in the squad at some capacity. Whether Maitland-Niles nails down fullback and Joe develops, it's down to them. It's down the same way it's down to Guendouzi, it's down to Nelson, it's down to Emil, it's down to the players on loan, it's down to Eddie and Ketia, it's down to these men. If they want it to happen for them at Arsenal, people, I always sing their praises and critique and praise fairly, but it's there for them if they want it. The only two young players I believe are there right now is Saka and Martinelli. The chance has been there, they've taken it. So it's down to these players. If they want it, go and get it. Because right now you could say Joe and Maitland to a degree are maybe have futures at the club, but things change and it's now time to stake your claim. Do you get it? Because you don't want to be at a crossroads. Because you might be in the side for a few years and you might end up like a Iwobi where they're like, alright, cool, 30 million, boom, boom, bang. Do you get it? Football careers are short and both players will probably play for more clubs on a permanent basis than just Arsenal, but who knows? Love for the two questions. Daniel has said, I'm a United fan. Do you think Oli was trying to save his own job by overplaying Rashford even though he's playing with injections and painkillers? Of course, my dude. Capitalising on Rashford's want to play for United, being a local boy, somewhat naivety to put his body on the line and not think about himself. Because when it sounds sad, but if you're a POGBA, if you're a De Gea, or if you're these more established players, it's not that you don't want to play for United, but you need to look, you're going to be a bit more competent about your bodies. And they still equally put their body on the line, like POGBA specifically at times has had delaying surgery. But I think Rashford being a local boy, academy, United fan, seeing the team doing bad, somewhat being in good form, they've used his naivety and maybe, I wouldn't say Rashford's dishonest, but think about it. If you're a young G and you really want to play and you've got a back injury and it might be a mad thing, but you really want to play, you're going to tell Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, boom, 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 like, I'm cool, I can play. And Rashford probably needed saving for himself now. Or I 100% agree. Between the medical staff being inconsistent and not being able to diagnose if they haven't Rashford going through stuff without Ole Gunnar Solskjaer taking it, winding it in a bit and not being selfish and thinking about his short-term stuff, thinking about the welfare of the human, let alone football, Rashford might not be out for 3 to 5 months allegedly. So yeah, he's been carrying a couple knocks for a year now, my dude. So like I said, you're a United fan, you know your thing more than me in it, but that's what I believe. You've also said, do you think that this is the worst league ever right now? Because even the Bundesliga title race is much more interesting. You could say that. I mean, unless you're a Liverpool fan, really, it's mad. Like, every team is doing appallingly, and that's maybe the entertainment of the Premier League, my dude. You've also said, Do you actually think if all other top 6 teams are at full strength, Leicester will be able to maintain what they're doing? If Leicester don't get top 4, or Leicester drop down the table, it's due to them and their injuries and they're going through blips. Because if they remain consistent, there's no reason they can't get 4th. Arsenal at full strength. Ironically, if you line up the Leicester and the Arsenal teams, more Leicester man getting the Arsenal team, getting the Arsenal team than vice versa. So with that, Spurs, more Leicester man probably getting their team. Obviously they've got Kane, they've got Son, there's a couple other men, but current form, not too many men walking the team. So I'm not sure for full strength, but I think regardless, Leicester would be there because they've got the consistency. Saying that, you're hearing Vardy's out now, and it's why do all my strikers, Ings, Kane, and now Vardy, all my fantasy league strikers, getting injured for substantial periods of time? It's a mad thing. FPL don't want DG to win. I think I'm 8th in my own championship, and the man keep texting me that stupid stuff like, "Oh, you're meant to be the football man. Why are you last?" All that dumb, all that nonsense. But moving away from your questions, love for your questions, dude. Gio has said, "Do you consider the chance of us not competing in Europe next year, and what the effects will be in your opinion?" Big up, DG. Thank you very much for your praise. I mean, the only the only effect it could have is that we're playing less football, so there might be more time for Arteta to, to get things in point. Players might be a bit able to do his demands. I'd like to think, regardless, we'll be able to run up and down and do what Arteta wants, my guy. But if we're playing less, energy levels might be higher and whatnot. Other than that, I don't really know people, and obviously there's probably financial implications, but you'd have to talk to a finance man. 14 Gooner has said, Why refs always make the most mistakes against Arsenal? With VAR, I was finally sure we'd get a fair decision, but it's now even worse. Is there any way to appeal or do something about it? My dude, every fan probably has a conspiracy against their fan base, but I mean, you look at people like Mike Dean specifically, I agree with it, because there's always a way for Arsenal not to get certain decisions like Pepe. Pepe should have had a penalty the other day. My dude, as you can hear from my tone, I'm exhausted with it. I feel your frustration. I used to feel like that. But now I don't even count the refs. I just look at Arsenal. We need to win regardless. The refs are mad. The refs need addressing. But let's disregard them. We have to somewhat expect dumb decisions, things going against our way. Like the Black Pep Guardiola, my ex-manager Darren told us in Sunday League. Forget the ref. Expect him to be against you. There's no point looking for fairy inequality, car. We're not going to get it. So, I don't know, my dude, man. I don't know what we can do. All I can do is really question the integrity of referees. And really, referees need to be scrutinised by their own peers and just in general to the amount footballers are. And positively, man. It seems like refs are protected. I'm not saying scapegoat, man, because people make mistakes. But, yeah, man. Joe F1 has said, what players in the academy do you see breaking through in the next 2 to 3 years? Again, I don't know, my guy. I don't know. I can tell you, I like Tyrese, I like Balogun, I like Sam Greenwood. I think Aziz has a good chance. I feel Ben Cottrell is very slept on in this academy. But again, it's down to them. I'm not a predictor. I'm just someone who documents the journeys because of my love for the young G's, my guy. So, I don't know. But love for your question. Marquis has said, Deluded, do you think English football should follow the Spanish model of having Premier League B teams in lower divisions with no chance of promotion? If so, do you think there would be any other benefits? Any benefits other than under 23s playing competitive games every week? That's the main benefit, and that's probably the only benefit I'm looking for, my guy. I guess maybe players, especially with English players in particular, leaving for the pathways not being there because they're playing against men's football. They might be a bit more patient and stay at academies, I guess. Long term, I guess I'd say long term it would just make us a bit more competitive. It'd be good for coaches to get exposure against senior teams as well. Not sure of any other notable benefits. I'd have to have a real think about that, my guy. But thanks for that. Elite Odoye has asked thoughts on Callum Hudson-Odoye's performance. Well, based on the first half, the clues in your name, Elite, I think he had a good game. I'm a big fan of his. His injury had people fooled that he weren't a player. I just like the confidence he's getting back. Obviously, he needs to develop, remain grounded. But I like Callum, man. In the first half, he had a good game, man. Saka did well to, have a good game also because they were technically playing against each other. Death, Taxes and Diabolical in my Q&A. I love this guy, man. Diabolical has asked, shout out to you for always being in the Q&As. You ain't missed one yet. You have said, why do you think all the big 6 teams apart from Liverpool are doing so poorly this season? Because everyone is dropping points against teams they should be beating. Well, if I look at Spurs, if I look at Arsenal, if I look at United, the playing stuff. The squads aren't good enough. The squads haven't been revitalised. There's obviously been the management situations. Liverpool's been the only ones, and Leicester to a degree, that have had their act together. For City have obviously been done with by injuries, and maybe being the dominant side for the last couple of years, they should have maybe brought in a couple players to shake things up. They wanted a centre-half, they never got one. So probably that, my dude. But it's probably just one of those things. Liverpool have just taken their chances where other teams have been messing up, really. And you look at the United squad, I know they've got new players. You look at the Spurs side and Arsenal more. A lot of these players have been there for a while, and it seems like whether they've achieved anything or not, the cycle is done and something needs to be addressed for such, according to such. Flydem has said, what's the issue with Talaji Bowler? We have a crisis at left back, but he doesn't even get on the bench. Always the 19th man. Well, all I can say is Arteta probably concedes that there's other options he will go to in case of that, but he's probably close. Maybe there's something he's yet to be convinced about with him, between throwing him in a game like that, beyond just requiring him as a body. But it's also, to a degree, it means someone's taking notice. If Arteta's not watching him directly, it means some coach or someone's giving fairly positive reports, because he's obviously trained with the first team and been good enough to go and be the 19th, like Emile Smith-Rowe did once upon a time, Saka did once upon a time. I'm sure Reece Nelson did as well. So I don't know, my guy, man. Guess he just has to wait. Omar said, how long do you see Martinelli staying at the club? I see him leaving within the next 2 years. Keep doing your thing, bro. Well, if he develops to Mo Salah levels, Mane levels, and the Alexis Sanchez false nine in his prime, which I believe he is, then we're going to have a real fight to keep hold of him. I think he's going to be a very decent player. Let's rein it in a bit, because he will go through hardships. He's in the honeymoon period at Arsenal right now. Everything is going right. Everything's being loved. He's somewhat an unknown entity. But when he starts playing on a regular basis for Arsenal, he will shine. He will do his thing. He's clearly incredible. But teams will be able to realise, okay, he's fast. He likes coming off the left. They will mark up against him. And naturally, he'll go through tough periods. He's 18. At 20, he's not going to be the finished article. We just need to guide him along the way. So if he develops as much as my heart believes, then we'll face a fight to keep hold of him. A real fight to keep hold of him. KB is shout out to you, my dude. Starting 11 when everyone's fit. When everyone's fit, 4-3-3. 4-3-3. Leno picks himself. Bellerin, based on his last game, I guess he's in, but Maitland-Niles can do his thing, but I'd probably say Bellerin. Centre-half, I'm not really convinced with anyone, but if, like you said, if everybody's fit, I'll go David Luiz and Chambers, to be fair with you. I'm a big fan of Holding. It should be Holding and Chambers, but I don't really believe in any of partnerships, and I'm not really a fan of them two as a partnership at this moment in time right now. I'm welcome to that being proved wrong, but I'd probably say Callum Chambers and David Luiz. Tierney, if he's fit, obviously would be at left-back. Midfield, Lucas Torreira and Granit Xhaka, because there's nothing else really. I'd love Guendouzi, but he starts ahead of him. I don't mind Guendouzi and Torreira, to be fair, but Xhaka's form is swaying me. The 10 position's a bit irrelevant, but it'd have to be Ozil by default. Up front, Aubameyang, Pepe on the right, and Martinelli on the left would be me, my guy, if everybody was fit and was playing Bournemouth tomorrow. Is how I interpreted that. But love for your question, my dude. Another Daniel TV is asked, Daniel TV2, is Martinelli the long-term option going forward in the centre-forward role, presuming Lacazette and Aubameyang go in the summer? If anyone goes in the summer, we need to bring in another striker. I think Martinelli, you use him there frequently, but he's still a child, basically, in football terms. Like I've just said, he's in the honeymoon period. I'd back him to deliver, but really and truly, he's got experience, but is it wise based on the amount of games he's played, based on the expectations we're playing, based on the fact he's still developing, to assume he can take on the burden of Aubameyang's 20 league goals? Now, listen to me carefully. Whether Aubameyang's in good form, bad form, left wing, super sub, strike, or whatever, 20 league goals minimum are delivered. Is Martinelli, I'd back him and I think he have a good chance, but that's a tough ask right now based on as good as we think he is and believe he is. He hasn't played that much football consistently for Arsenal, 90 minutes week in, week out, to really be drawing conclusions. I think he'd be my option to develop there, and for me, you bring in another striker and you have him there, but that would be it. And the young G's, one of them would have to step up. Cameron said, who would you sign / think we can sign this month? Well, in relation to think we can sign, I don't know, my dude, man. But you put me on the spot a bit. I should have my scouting report. I would go for I'd make a bid for that Rems midfielder, Axel. I can never say his name. Durissi. I can't pronounce his name, but the French under 21-year-old, French 21-year-old centre half that plays for Reims. Would put a bid in for Lewis Dunk purely because we're desperate for a centre half. Would try and go for Sissoko and or Fofana of Strasbourg. Would look to try and get them moves done. That'd be it, really and truly. That would be it. Go for that, because since we've been linked with that Lille centre half, that 22-year-old lad, I'd go down for him. Based on the clips I'm looking, he looks fairly decent, so I'd probably double down on that, my guy. It's difficult, man. It's difficult. Danny Almo looks to be going to Leipzig, but based on the fee, 18 to 20 million. If I could, I'd be trying to get involved in that, because we need a creative player. And if Ceballos is going to bust out, you know, you can use him and Ozil until the thing's done. So that would be it, my dude. But love for your support and your question. Thank you very much. It means a lot, my dude. Mohammed has said, don't you think Arsenal should follow what we did at Liverpool? Sell a valuable asset in the team to reinvest in key areas. We got rid of our best player and it resulted in having a much better all-round team. Who do you sell and who do you spend it on? Well, you could say that, my guy, and I 100% agree, but to a degree, you could say you sold Coutinho, but that's if you're looking to improve this Liverpool side. If you was to nitpick, I know Firmino does his thing, but that front three with a creative player, like a bad boy creative player behind them, could be something. So I hear you. I think we're different. I don't really know who's going to bring in money like that. Lacazette on current form, are we even going to break even on him? Who knows? Realistically, 40 to 50. Aubameyang is not bringing in 80 million euros, and if we did, I'd hold my hands up, because what do I know? But think about it. As good as Aubameyang is, take your love for Aubameyang off Arsenal fans. Would it make sense, you as a rival club? Arsenal have no strength in negotiations going into the summer. He's contracted for a year. He can talk to foreign teams in January. So teams might say, alright, cool, you don't want to give us we'll give you a little cut price. We'll give you your 60 million back, 60 million odd euros, whatever. We'll give you that. Give us the guy. He's in his 30s. His contract's up. If he gets injured next week or so, it's a bit peak. Alright, cool, you don't want to sell him. You know, 6 months people can chat to him, and then we might see, he's getting a bit old. Let's forget him. But if them 6 months comes and he's still banging, you know what? We bidded X amount of money last summer, but he seems like he might keep it up. He might be good for a year or two. Let's give him a decent little signing on fee and get him on a free. So we're not going to bring in 150 million. In fact, there's not too many assets that are going to bring in substantial P's in Arsenal's team. You can get little dribs and drabs, like obviously, that's just on a basis of names linked with moves. Xhaka don't deserve to leave because he's been in good form. But you'd imagine Xhaka can bring you 20 to 30 odd million. Lacazette, like I said, 40, maybe 50 break even on that. Martinelli's probably bringing you them mad fees that Real Madrid are playing, but we know we should not be selling him. There's not too many players, mainly the young ones based on potential. There's couple businesses we can do and add up our little pennies and come with something. I don't think that's the case, man. I think our situation is slightly different. But if someone had to be sold, I don't want to sell Lacazette, because I think Lacazette should accept that he's a rotation option. He can be utilised in the side. I think having two strikers is there. But if Lacazette don't want to sign a new deal, he's hell-bent on playing Champions League football, then it would be him. It could be Aubameyang as well, and you probably would have to sell him for 60 million euros if it came. But we're in this position again where if we could use Aubameyang if we could let him run down this deal and we get top form, we fix up other areas and we save money for the following summer and go for a striker, and Aubameyang leaves in his mid-30s giving us what we want and we've replaced him, that could be one. The logical option would be to sell both, but it's a difficult one, my dude, man. Good question, Mohammed. Peter has said, would you take someone like Højbjerg in midfield or Cantwell or Buendia? Yeah, I wouldn't mind either of them, but Buendia is decent for Norwich, as is Cantwell. Højbjerg wouldn't really go for him, but if we signed him, he's a competent midfielder. I wouldn't have any issues. Andrew has said, yo, big up DG and the fellas. You make me as an Australian Gooner feel very connected to the club, my guy. That I can't put into words what that means, but yeah, that's technically not a question, but shout out. Oh yeah, it is. You've got a question. You said my question is, what more does Kroenke have to do for the fans to start protesting? They've lacked ambition in transfers, lied to us about competing with the likes of Munich, and sucked the soul out of the club. I don't know, people. We'd have to just really just have to be, just failing right now, because I don't think fans would or really should. I mean, we should campaign to get them out, but it would probably have a negative effect on Arteta, which is nothing to do with him, but he's just landed in the club, and to be fair, he's a manager, he should be able to air it, but it wouldn't be fair to him per se. I don't know, man. I don't know, but when you find out, let me know, and I'm all there, my dude. Laugh Daily said, do you think we can make any moves under Kroenke? I've been looking at it, and this guy doesn't seem like he really wants to do any more with Arsenal than make a little profit each year and make his chop. Man, I wish Usmanov was still here. Well, Laugh Daily, I wish I knew, man. How long's a piece of string? As you can see, I'm not necessarily optimistic on the Kroenke, so that is what it is. South London's Finest has said, yo, Deluded, with our attack to me, we look unbalanced. Do you think it would be sensible to go and get Ryan Fraser on a free transfer from Bournemouth in the summer? Not really, my dude, because no disrespect to Fraser, but actually I'm cool with our wide options. I'm of the belief if we're going to bring in another winger, it's got to be better than what we have, really and truly. Not somebody sideways. It'd be a good compliment in the sides, but would I want to give, as good as Fraser is and decent as he is, Nelson isn't in the best of form, but I wouldn't want to sacrifice Nelson's game time. I wouldn't want to sacrifice Martinelli's. I think Saka, when used there, is alright. And yeah, man, Pepe's doing his thing. Yeah, unless a player better than what we have, or someone that can really help us, becomes available, I wouldn't go for it. Either way, thank you for your question. Brian has said, happy Friday, DG. As quick as Ober is, I struggle to remember a goal he scored for Arsenal due to his pace. It's just brilliant positioning. I'm seeing encouraging signs of this instinct under Martinelli. To what extent do you think this type of thing can be trained? Well, I think for Aubameyang, the team don't play to his strengths, man. I think what Martinelli's got is Saka actually plays him the ball in behind down that left-hand side. Very promising relationship they've got going when Saka's deployed at left-back. I agree. I think it's because of the design of the club. We don't give Aubameyang goals. It's like the one against Palace, where it was a good move, that's an Aubameyang goal on the last shoulder. The one against Spurs, when Guendouzi set him up. For the guy who got onto Guendouzi earlier, go and check that goal because he's a superstar for us. But that's an Aubameyang goal running in behind. I don't think we look to find him that quick. I think movement can obviously be changed, can be taught, because you actually listen to Arsene Wenger and Alexis Sanchez on Arsene Wenger when he played as a false nine. He said they done a lot of work in between the boxes, and you hear Van Gaal, the work he did with Rashford, which Rashford has said. I think you can obviously get pointers, but I do believe a lot of that natural instinct, not only for movement to score goals, is born in you. It's born in you. It doesn't matter if it's guys like Kevin Phillips or guys like Martinelli. Martinelli looks like he's born with that, like Aguero, born to score goals. Do you get? I think you can improve and whatnot, because Henry was a madness, but I'm sure Wenger even said once, Henry's not a natural goal scorer. Me being 24, I think that's it. That's shocking to hear, but a man that's been one of the top goal scorers in the Prem, record holder at Arsenal, not a natural goal scorer. He's clearly been taught, converted and done his thing. So that flips it on his head. But for what it's worth, I believe the majority of it is instinct. So love for your question, Brian. You're always in the questions and commenting, love in general. Manu has said, my guy, could you answer my question in the next Q&A? Leno has been giving me mad scares with the way he clears the ball during set pieces. Do we have some young exciting keepers coming from the academy? We do, but nobody's ready for the first team, people, if I'm honest with you. They're all talented, but there's none really I can say for me it's like I'm going to see you in the first team. I think they've all got potential. If they work hard, it can happen. But yeah, and to be fair, that's harsh, man. Before we even look at Leno, and I'm a harsh critic of Leno, before we even look at Leno, centre half and centre mid's got to arrive. My dude, thanks for your question, man. You're a good guy. Let's Talk has said, if you became an Arsenal scout tomorrow, would you still make videos? I'd have to be a lot more careful in how I say things, obviously. But of course, yeah, man, I think these videos can't stop. It might not be the same content, but I'd have to keep going with something. 100%. Yeah, my dude. Kagger said, if you could pick any player from each team in the league, who would they be? I'm even a bit mad with that question, my guy, man. There's like 20 odd teams in the Premier League. 20 teams in the league, man. You're even mad, dude. But because I'm a cool guy, I'm going to look at the Premier League table and just think of the first player that comes to mind. Right, Jordan Henderson scored for Liverpool. Premier League table. Liverpool's tough. Any of the front three: Ronaldo, Fabinho, Trent, Robertson, Van Dijk, Alisson. The whole team has got Joe Gomez. Yeah, man, that's Curtis Jones. Bear, man. City, Again, Sterling, Laporte, Mendy, even though I'm not the biggest fan of Mendy, to be fair with you. Sane, Gab Jesus, Sergio Aguero, just anybody, Bernardo. Chelsea, let me think of one. Callum Hudson-Odoi or Rudiger or Kante. United, Marcus Rashford, to be fair with you. Well, even though he's getting a lot of hate, I would say Maguire, even though he's getting a lot of hate. Pogba, of course. Spurs, Son, Kane. Yeah, Son, Kane. Really. Wolves, Neves, sorry. Sheffield United, the keeper, Dean Henderson. Maybe a couple of centre-halves. Southampton. Not really anyone, really. I'm not going to lie. Nah, not really anyone from Southampton, necessarily. Like, Danny Ings on current form. Arsenal, obviously, it's my club. Palace is a no-brainer with Zaha. Everton, I'd say Richarlison. Burnley, centre-halves, if anything, not really anyone. McNeil, if I had to pick. Newcastle, Jamal Lascelles, if I had to pick. Brighton, Dunk. Potentially Duffy. Yeah. Villa, Grealish. West Ham, Diop. Bournemouth, David Brooks. Watford, Doucouré. Norwich, Max Aarons, Jamal Lewis, Ben Godfrey, Cantwell, Buendia. Yeah, man, there's better, man. So, yeah. Thanks for your question. Georgia said, when do you think Arteta will stop playing a double pivot? Not a clue, my dude, man. Not a clue. I think I 100% have some other questions. So 1 second, people, because I printed some other ones on my other notes. This is how you know I do the most to make sure I don't miss people out, people. Like, what other YouTubers doing this? Liam Miller has said, my question is, why are you called Deluded? Someone called it to me online on a gaming, and we've just ran with it, and it's become I don't know if I actually have answered this already, but what started as just a name for my YouTube account, it became somewhat, I don't know how to make it make sense, a daily reminder to change my goals, because you've got to be deluded to believe you can achieve anything in life. And that doesn't mean being stupid. That means like you really got to believe in yourself. You've not got to tell yourself that stupid voice in your head, oh, it don't happen for people like me, it's because this, it's because that. You've got to be deluded to believe if you can come from humble beginnings and get somewhere. So I'd say that's what it's become. Now it's become a consistent reminder to accomplish my dreams. I don't really care about people in my life, past, present and right now, that don't really think much of me, but it's to not allow them to win and get in my head and make me not want to fight to have a life that I potentially want, because I'm not living the life I want. I haven't achieved any of the real goals I want to achieve, but every day is a chance to fight, my guy, and that's what, I can't speak for anyone else, but that's what me personally, I aspire to do. So it's become that. Thomas said, do we scrutinise the board enough? Can't help but feel that the inactivity from our board after the 2-0 away defeat to Leicester has cost us a top 4 finish. I say this because an international break followed this fixture, a natural opportunity to appoint a new manager. Tom, I do think we scrutinised the board, but we could always scrutinise them a bit more, and I think Emre needed to get clipped way sooner than he did, potentially off the tail end of last season. But you have to get onto the board because they allow people to do nonsense. They're not really, haven't been consistently proactive with addressing areas of the side and really trying to turn us around as a club. They've done some good things, so we can't have the rough with the smooth, and we've got to be fair, but you get the point. So you've got some truth to that. Let's scroll through these again real quick, people, in case I ain't forgot nobody. Antonio Banky said, how good is the Premier League really in terms of football quality? In your opinion, out of 10, I'd give it a 5. I mean, there's obviously great technical individuals, but yeah. Let's Talk, he said, I'm 18 and I currently do not play for academy. Do I still have a chance to make it pro? Well, if you work hard and you work smart, you put yourself in the right place, and you know, join semi-pro and non-league and things, and you can do your thing. I think you need to be honest with yourself and really, not say if you're not good enough, but really critique yourself against non-league and the top grassroots clubs players. And if you've played for some of these clubs or been in touch in distance, then good. But listen, never give up. Don't even listen to me. But you need to be honest with yourself. Are you really good enough for this thing? But do your thing. Antonio Bank again has asked, Martinelli or Greenwood, the Brazilian Martinelli. You've also said, DG, we have in Germany some Bundesliga clubs like Leverkusen, Frankfurt and RB Leipzig. They have abolished their under-23 teams because they see no benefit for young players to be playing there. They argue that if at 18, 19 aren't good enough for the Bundesliga, then they're not good enough with the under-21s. Do you think Arsenal should contemplate abolishing our 23s? Not in our situation, but I used to think it was crazy at first, but now I see why. If you do something like Brentford where you're going to say, okay, we're getting rid of this and we're only going to keep 11, 15 elite ballers and we're going to, you know, play against other grown men and we're only going to keep players there that we believe, you know, in the next year or so are going to progress to first team, or they might need a loan and they're going to come back, or we believe of the standard we can make substantial profit, then it's all good. But there needs to be a proper strategy. I cannot say a name. Mr. Adlib, I believe it said, just wanted your opinion on the concern I have about the structure of our club. I was fully behind the Michelin Tap project. Let me go back, my dude, because it's not showing you. It's the screenshot is moving mad. You said, yeah. I was fully behind the Michelin Chat project where we would sign players with potential rather than spend big on big names similar to Dortmund model. But this Don Raul seems to be bringing his agents' brethrens to make peas. What's your thoughts? My dude, listen, I don't actually have a problem with the agent thing as long as you're going to bring in good players. But, I mean, you get what you pay for. And if we could marry the scouting thing with calling on favours to get good players, then it is what it is. But I must admit, I do have concerns about Don Raul as well, because we were quick to call him the Don. I mean, Caigio is behind the signing of obviously Martinelli. You heard Sanye was a big reason as to why it took long for Emery to get the clip. So got to start looking at him and earning his keep, really and truly. D Solo has said, do you remember me saying Martinelli was ready like Freddie? He's a real natural talent. Who would you say has been the signing of the season so far? That's a tough one. You put me on the spot, man. I'd say Martinelli's up there. What new signing has banked? What new players have banked? Oh, no new signings at City have banged like that. It's a tough one, man. I'm not gonna lie to you. My mind is blank. I'm trying to think. I need to do my homework. My mind's blank, man. You put me on the spot. I can't answer that, my dude, man. I just have to go for Martinelli. Timbuktu has said, pros and cons of replacing Ozil with Laka in the 10 position. Well, I think similar. Laka gets through a lot of work defensively and Ozil runs about, so it's not really fair, but he'd obviously be a bit slow. I feel Lacazette is good creatively, but I know he got 10 assists or so last season, but I don't think he's of the creative standard where he's going to consistently have that final ball for us and whatnot, but he can do a job there. But obviously, he'd get in the side. He is creative. It would free up Aubameyang. So I'd be all for it, to be fair. If the squad was fully fit, would you pick Pepe over Martinelli? You don't have to pick either or. Martinelli on the left, Pepe on the right, my dude. That was asked by D Solo as well. Elaji's asks, how are you, DG? What do you make of Arteta? We all know he's not going to make us Barcelona in one season. Well, what I like by him, in short, the best thing is that whether it works or not, there's a clear plan or there's a clear way of what he wants to do. I never saw that under Emery. You've also said, give me 5 positives and 5 negatives that need to improve. My dude, you're moving a bit mad with 10 different points. Like, I don't know if all of that school teacher thing, my guy, but obviously, defensively, game management, being able to run at the standard Arteta wants us to be, being a bit street smart would be what we need to improve. Positives, we're doing a bit better with 10 men. The players aren't all the way there, but they look a bit more switched on tactically. There's a bit more confidence. There's a bit more willingness to play the ball forward. There's a bit more movement off the ball. We're not all the way there yet, but that's what I would say. It's G-Meda said, if you were Arteta, what would you do for Martinelli when Aubameyang comes back? Martinelli on the left, remain on the left, Aubameyang goes through the middle. 1-1 has said, do you think we are too extreme from one end to the other as Arsenal fan? Lacazette was everyone's favourite player. Now he needs to go. Xhaka was to blame for everything. Now he's the return of Jesus Christ. Guendouzi was being compared to Vieira. Now Xhaka is better. Well, yeah, people need to be balanced. It's even with the result. Like, against Chelsea. It's a 2-2 thing. People behaving like we turned a new corner. It was nice that we didn't lose, and there was some positives, but equally we didn't start the game well. The goals we conceded were cheap and whatnot. So I do think all football fans suffer from an inability to look at things. You look at Emre's season. Actually, nothing to do with Emre. Fans were so quick to proclaim we're back, new Arsenal, this and that at the start of that 22 unbeaten run. Where if they were using their eyes, the goals and the results were clouding judgment. So you're 100% on the right track. Who else have we got? I think that's that. Yeah, I think I've finally answered all questions, people, and we've got through that. That was a long one, people. I'm knackered and I'm hungry, but we got through it and we did it for the cause. I do it for the gang. I do it for Deluded Nation, DG Nation. So with that being said, people, Deluded, I'm out. Comment for next week under this video, obviously, if you want your question answered. Look out during the week for my community tab where I ask you guys to comment your questions. Make sure you like, make sure you go in the description and check out the Deluded podcast. Make sure you check out all my other content on YouTube. Make sure you're subscribed and following all my other socials. Deluded Gooner on Deluded Gooner 04 and everything. Snapchat D Gooner 04, like the letter D. But anyways, yeah, man, thank you for your questions for this Q&A. It's been lovely. Enjoy the rest of your Friday or whenever you're seeing this. God bless, and we'll soon link again, people. On that note, though, DG.